Espresso Talk today. I'm your host, Alma Robin, and I am thrilled that you are with me again. As always, we are here to discuss Black empowerment and Black liberation. And yes, that's right. Black health is Black empowerment and Black liberation. Because if we as individuals are not healthy, it is just impossible, it's very difficult to fully self-actualize and be the powerful and creative and beautiful individuals that we are. And if we as a people aren't healthy, our communities won't thrive, our communities will suffer, and all of us will struggle. Our economic, political, cultural, and spiritual empowerment will suffer. With this knowledge, the Espresso Talk Today team is focusing on anything that threatens our health, and one of the major threats to Black health is racism. So, you took the Every Day Discrimination Scale. That's great. High five to you. Congrats, and I'm glad you showed up. But that's not enough. Sorry, but that's just facts, y'all. Now, you need to take affirmative steps. You need to take real steps to protect your health. And that's where self-care becomes important. Self-care is your superpower to protect your health and well-being against the effects of racism. And that's what we're going to talk about on today's show. But before we dive in, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're feeling this show, share it with your fam, your crew, your circle, everyone in your community. Don't hold back. Now, grab that espresso and close the door behind you. We're going to get deep and we're going to get real. I hope y'all are ready for this. Aquaba, my brothers and my sisters and my beloved gender-neutral folks, to the Espresso Talk Today podcast show. So that's right, we are going to talk about Black health today and how we can use our superpower of self-care to fight the effects of racism on our mental and physical health. That's why I said we're going to get real today. I know that I don't need to remind you again that racism has been called a public health crisis, but it is, and that's not an overstatement. Remember, Dr. David R. Williams noted in his TED Talk, which I played on the previous podcast show, that a Black person in the United States dies every 7 minutes because of racism. That's 200 brothers and sisters and gender-neutral folks every single day. So listen, I'm going to just play it again. Listen to Dr. Williams here.
What is even a bigger story is that every 7 minutes, a Black person dies prematurely in the United States. That is, over 200 Black people die every single day who would not die if the health of Blacks and whites were equal.
You see, I'm not making this up. I didn't tell a lie. You know, we keep it 100 here, and today we're going to dive deep into the results of the Every Day Discrimination Scale, the EDDS. If you've taken that test, you know what's up. And if you haven't, then stick around because you really need this knowledge. I'm not trying to get, bossy or anything, but just stick around and listen up. But here's the real deal. What do those scores mean? What should you do about them? People have been asking me that, and that's why I decided to do a show about it, because taking the test isn't enough. Then we got to do something. Knowledge is good, but then doing something with that knowledge is better. All right, we've been talking about racism, discrimination, and the everyday experiences that can weigh us down. We introduced the Everyday Discrimination Scale in previous episodes, and today we're getting into the nitty-gritty of what those scores mean and how they can impact our lives and our health. It really measures how everyday racism, or living black in predominantly white countries or environments, affects our health. Now let's get one thing straight. Racism is not just words and actions. It's the everyday stuff too, the little things that wear us down, and that is where the EDDS comes in. It's like a mirror that shows you what you're dealing with. You remember our talk with the psychologist William Smith, remember from the University of Utah, about racial battle fatigue? I mean, he really gave us some powerful information that focused on the daily digs and the insults and the stares and the disregards and the disrespects and the other racist behaviors that are directed at us and other black people every single day. And it's also the threat of all those racist behaviors. We're talking just the threat of all those racist behaviors hovering in the air every single day. These all cause profound and enduring stress, and they affect our health, not in a good way. That's why the Everyday Discrimination Scale is so important. It makes you stop and consider whether you've experienced any kind of racism and how often you've experienced it. And this can help you to figure out how much it has affected or is still affecting you. And when you know this, then you can decide what you're going to do about it. How are you going to protect your mental health? How are you going to protect your physical health? We're going to think about some self-care steps to get you through, but you're going to have to do the work. Before we dive in, fam, let's take a moment to remember something that we discussed before. I keep bringing these things up because they're still there. They're still hovering in the air too. Racism denial. Remember that? We've talked about how it's dangerous to our health, how it's like trying to ignore a fire in your house while it's burning everything around you down. And, and you too. Our experiences are real, and denying them only adds fuel to the flames. Racism denial is not a self-care step, so we won't even go there. Now, before we go even deeper, let's take a short breather break. This gives both of us, all of us, a chance to breathe for a minute, and when things get intense, I do like to breathe. I like to take deep breaths. I hope you do too, but you do what you need to do for you. I will see you in a minute. And y'all know I love this song.
Turn me up in the headphone. Yeah. Grind to get a lot of dough and dirt through all the obstacles, cause anything is possible. Yeah. Oh man, I got a lot of goals. Stack that bread and by my nose. Anything is possible. Yeah. Grind to get a lot of dough and dirt through all the obstacles, cause anything is possible.
Welcome back, fam. Now, let's break it all down. First, let's talk about what a high score on the Everyday Discrimination Scale means. What should you do if you got a high score? What does it mean? Let's start with that. It means that you have been experiencing racism on a daily and consistent basis in many different areas of your life. And I'm so sorry to hear this. No way this should be happening to anyone. And I suspect that you might have been carrying around a lot of pain, a lot of anger, and some frustration, perhaps for a very long time. It's time to deal with that now. So yes, your high score means that you're dealing with discrimination and microaggressions on the daily. It's like a constant weight on your shoulders, and it's not just in your head. We're often told that, you're seeing things that ain't there and you're blowing things out of proportion, but it's there. It is there, and it can mess with your mental health and make you stressed out, and yes, it can affect your physical health. It might even be affecting it already. So what should you do if you got a high score? Well, first, know that you are not alone. You are not alone. Reach out to your people, your fam, and your community, and let them know what you're going through. Talking about it can help you process and heal. I'm going to repeat that because it's so important. You got to talk about it. Please do not hold it in. And don't sleep on professional help. There is no shame in talking to a therapist who knows what's up with racial trauma. They can give you strategies to cope with and bounce back stronger. We're going to talk about some coping strategies later, not in this show, but in another one. But I promise, we're coming back to this. Now, let's flip the script. What if you got a low score on the Every Day Discrimination Scale? Does that mean you're in the clear? You're fine, right? Sorry, doesn't work that way. A low score doesn't mean discrimination isn't happening. It might mean that you're not feeling it as much, or you're not allowing yourself to feel it as much, or you may be brushing it off. But discrimination is real, and it affects us in so many different ways. Just face it. You might be denying your experiences of racism, and I get that. It's hard to remember and deal with racism. It's hard to think about that. But denying it will not make it disappear. I can tell you, I have tried, doesn't work. You can't bury it. You gotta face it. Not fair, I know, I really, really get that. But if you're gonna heal, then you gotta do the work. And being honest with yourself is the first step. So what should you do if you got a low score? First, I'm going to repeat this, don't ignore it. Even if you're not feeling it as much, it's still there. Keep an eye out for those moments and don't let them slide. And remember, self-care is not just for high scorers. People who got a low score, you need the self-care too. You need the coping measures too. And take care of yourself, mentally and physically and spiritually. Here are some specific self-care steps you can take. These are things that I've done. These work for me. And so I'm going to throw them out there. Meditate. I spend a few minutes each day meditating to calm my mind and to help me reduce stress. It is one of those, time-honored kind of things, and there's so many different ways that you can meditate. Try different things. You don't have to, fold yourself into a lotus position and sit there for an hour, saying Om. There are lots of different ways you can meditate. Try different things. Number 2, exercise regularly. Exercise makes such a big deal for me. You can just get your body moving. It's a great stress reliever and it's a mood booster. That is also proven. There are lots of different ways to exercise. You don't gotta, wear yourself out. Get out and take a walk. Take a hard walk. Do all kinds of things. Swim, ski, do anything. Decide and find out what works best for you. Number 3, eat well. Nutrition is so important, fam. Fuel your body with nourishing foods. A healthy diet can support your overall well-being. And I get it. In some areas, it is hard to find healthy food, nourishing food at a decent price. And I think that's by design. They create these food deserts because they know that everything really begins with nutrition. So find a way to, make small changes in your diet. Eat the fruit that you can. Try vegetables as much as you can. Or try cutting back on things that you know are not healthy for you in terms of your nutrition. Number 4, stay connected. Remember, we are a community and we are a social people. Don't isolate yourself. Reach out to friends and family for support and connection. They're there for you. We are there for you. And talk about it. I know that's sometimes, I'm not a big talker. I know I have a podcast show and I'm not a big talker, but I do know that when things have happened, when I talk about it, it doesn't make them right, it doesn't make them easy, but it does relieve a lot of stress for me. So share your experiences with people you trust. You don't have to go to a therapist. You know that I strongly believe in therapy. But talking to people you trust, friends, family, your minister, the deacon at your church, that can really help you to process and heal. Look, knowledge is power, fam. We know that. And remember, these scores are about your experiences. They're not about your worth. We are all kings and queens and gender neutral royalty, and we don't let discrimination define us. Now, let's take another break here. Let's breathe, think, stretch, do push-ups, whatever makes you feel better. This is some deep stuff here, and it's not easy to deal with, but I applaud you for dealing with it. I'll see you in a minute.
Turn me up in the headphones. Yeah. Trying to get a lot of dough and dirt through all the obstacles, cause anything is possible. Yeah. Oh man, I got a lot of gold. Stack that bread and
Now, I want you to dig even deeper. Yes, you. So now it's time for you to figure out the self-care steps that work best for you. Whether it's journaling or art or music, or some of these other things I just mentioned, or not. Use those outlets to express yourself and to heal. Y'all know that journaling is my go-to. And I also take long walks almost every day. And I have a great group of powerful and loving sisters who let me vent, cry, shout, and then they still love me. These ladies get me. And I don't need to explain myself or justify my feelings. I can be 100% me, and they got my back, always. I don't know what I would do without them. And I hope that you have people in your life just like that. And don't forget, we are a community. We've got each other's back, and we need to support each other through these challenges. Let's raise each other up and remind ourselves that we're strong, resilient, and we won't let discrimination stop us. But it's okay not to look strong, not to be stoic, not to just keep taking the beating. It's okay. So, what are you going to do? What are your self-care steps? What make you feel good? What uplift your spirit? And remember, self-care is for everybody, for the high scorers, the people who scored low, the medium scorers, everybody. Take care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Meditate, exercise, eat right. We all need that self-love. We all need that. So stay woke and keep educating yourself about racism and how it shows up. Keep understanding that racism does show up every day for some people. Actually, for me. But it's there, and I'm not denying it anymore. Knowledge is power, and it's how we are going to change this game. So, as we wrap this up, remember to use the Every Day Discrimination Scale as a compass. It's a reminder that we are strong and resilient and that we've got each other's backs. And it's a reminder that there are forces out there that don't always, have your back. And please, let's stop denying the racism. Let's stop denying the effects, because it's time for us to live strong and to live well and happy. Let's take one last breather break here. Then we're going to wind it all down. And I got some information that I think you're going to want to know. Hope you all are ready for this. So, this winds us down here. But you know what? You can visit us at the Espresso Talk Today website at espressotalktoday.com. You can listen to our Black Empowerment podcast there. You can also find the Power blog and lots of helpful resources on mental health, financial empowerment, women's health, anti-racism materials, and a whole lot more. If you want to keep discussing or just reading about these issues, then I really invite you to subscribe to my weekly Black Empowerment newsletter, the No Mo Beat. No Mo Beat. We discuss lots of different issues there. Get your dose of Black empowerment and Black liberation every single week. Never a dull moment, but lots of powerful, uplifting, and liberating moments. You can subscribe on the Espresso Talk Today website, espressotalktoday.com, or on our Instagram at Ama Robin L. That's Ama, AMA, _ ROBIN _ the letter L. And please join us on Instagram to discuss these issues, share your thoughts, and find an uplifting and a safe space where you are valued and heard. Again, on Instagram at Ama Robin L. I'm Ama Robin, and remember, now more than ever, strength, soul, and reparations. Ashe, community.